Hello everyone and welcome back to another Black Ops 3 beta video. Today is the last day of the PS4 beta. In case you didn't hear, they did extend it to end today at 10 PM PST instead of yesterday, but I wanted to take some time to talk about the paint shop. Some parts about it I love, and some stuff I really wish was done differently, and could possibly be done differently. This is a beta after all, so I'll try to be constructive. Honestly, I haven't put much time into the paint shop until pretty much now, because I'm not really interested in putting a ton of time into something that will only last a couple days, but I made a few basic things here. I'm very creative. I came up with these ideas all by myself. Yeah, no, this is the opposite of original. I just did a mediocre job at copying some CSGO skins. Many people have already done this, I'm sure, with the paint shop. Even with a 5-day beta, we're getting to see tons of people share their awesome and creative designs, from custom patterns and funny ideas like this Nerf gun, and of course some CSGO stuff. Here's an Icarus Fell, you gotta have your fade knives, and here's an Asimov that's much better than mine, because I think with this one, the guy who made it used the idea of an Asimov and made it to custom fit the weapon, whereas I just tried to copy the op as closely as I could, which doesn't work very well when the room you have to play with is tiny for most weapons. I did my best, but a custom design would be better. Anyway, before I go into some things I wish were changed and improved, I do want to say that I love this feature. I love that it's a thing. I really like the creativity it brings into the game. It's already been amazing to see other people's designs, and they aren't even permanent yet, so I assume not as much time is being put into them as it will be when the game is out in November. I really look forward to seeing what the world can create. Probably a lot of weed and boobs and dicks, but there will be some artistic masterpieces, and you can choose to make something unique. But if you aren't a creative butterfly, you can follow a video tutorial on YouTube. I'm sure there will be tons of those, and I know the emblem editor has been around for a while, allowing you to be creative in that way. But this is a step further. It makes you feel happy to run around and use a gun that you made, and you look that much cooler in final kill cams and stuff. Anyway, this is an awesome feature, and there are a ton more abilities that they've added since the emblem editor in Black Ops 2. You have 64 layers on every side of the weapon. They added patterns. They have the ability to use materials instead of only a solid color. Hopefully they add more materials, or maybe you can unlock them through challenges and stuff. They also have gradients, and speaking of solid color, you can pick an exact color with RGB values, which is great. You could design a logo in Photoshop and use that to help you exactly recreate it, instead of just choosing one of the default color options and going with the closest you can. That's really cool, but I want to get to some of the problems I've had while using this thing. My number one complaint are issues with color. There is something weird going on. I don't know if I'm being dumb or if this is a bug, but there is some sort of screening effect going on when you place a color on a gun. Screening, to get complicated, is a blend mode where the values of pixels in two layers are inverted, multiplied, and inverted again. Nobody needs to know that, but what it kind of ends up doing is it removes the black from an image and makes it brighter. The problem here is that I think the color of the default gun has an odd effect on the color you put on it. If you made the exact same design on the Man of War and the HVK, the colors would look different between them, and I think that's a really bad thing. I will show you what I mean. If I want to make a pitch black HVK camo, which I think would be cool, right? Well, I would first take any shape, and first of all, I want you to take note of the fact that the "handle carefully" text there is white, while the rest of the gun is a bronzish color. Okay, so I would expand this shape all the way out and then change the color to black, and what? That did nothing. The color is the same. You can see here I'm flipping it on and off, and the only thing changing is that white "handle carefully" text. The text is going from white to black, but the rest of the gun doesn't change at all. The color is the exact same thing, and this doesn't just mean that you can't make something black. The color of the gun mixes with the color you put on it, and that makes it really hard to make some colors. You can see all the colors I'm flipping through here. The color at the bottom does not match the color that's going on the gun. Like if I want to make a design that involves dark blue, for example, I can't do it. Dark blue shows up as light purple. Even if I enter the color mixer, I can't make it dark blue because there is already 0 red and 0 green. So if you know anything about color, the only reason that this should be slightly purple is if I added a bit of red, but there is no red. The only red is coming from something I cannot control, and that is the bronzish color of the HVK. And the opacity is set to 100%, so this should be completely opaque. It should be the color that I'm telling it to be, but because of this ghosty mixing thing, it feels like it's always at 50% opacity. So it's really cool that they added the RGB mixer, but when this gun color effect is a thing, it's almost completely irrelevant because you can't get an accurate color. Although you will see that the handle carefully text and that little square there is pretty much the correct color because it's white, and well, white makes for a good canvas. The XR2 down here is largely white, so you can see that if I want to make this gun black, well there you go, it happens pretty much no problem. Although even with a white gun, you know, the dark blue doesn't really match. It is a much brighter blue on the gun than it should be, and this is a thing that happens with all guns. Like with the Asimov thing I tried to make, the base gun here is a very dark bluish kind of thing, so when I was trying to make this orange color, I had to really overcompensate in the mixer to get the color I wanted. When I chose this orange, it looks like a really dark gray orange down there, but on the gun, it's like a dingy yellow, so I had to make almost a pure reddish orange color to get a decent orange. So I don't know exactly how they would go about fixing that problem I described. I usually like to offer a suggestion or a way to go about doing things, but I think this may have even been on purpose. Like, they kind of want your paint to, you know, mix in with the gun, but I really don't like it for creating a custom paint job. I think it's limiting some people's creativity because it really takes away from the precision of an RGB mixer when there's another color being mixed in there that you can't even control. So that's that biggest problem I have. My other problems are much smaller. I have one that might be irrelevant when the game actually comes out, because I did hear that there will be weapon camos that you earn. That isn't changing, and the weapon camo will cover the rest of the gun that your paint shop thing does not. But I guess camos aren't in the beta because, well, challenges aren't in the beta. But I was going to say that I wish there were better options for applying a pattern to the entire gun, not just a side. Because one of the first things I wanted to do when I loaded up the game was make a very simple paint job, just so that I had something different to use. But I really wanted to hop into the game, not spend time painting. But if you want to apply a pattern, like a material, to the whole thing, it just doesn't work out very well because of the whole left, right, top sides of the gun thing. I wish there was a way to apply something to the entire thing. Let's say I just want to have this material on my gun, kind of like a camo. Well, if I do it on all three faces, it's just going to look bad because there are two big lines on the top of the weapon where the texture obviously doesn't connect. Although I will say this won't really matter anymore when camos are in the game. I guess you're meant to use the paint shop for more creative things, not just apply one material as a camo. But that leads me into the patterns that they added. I really like these things, but I wish there were more variations. Like if I wanted to make a hexagon pattern on my gun, well, I can't just stretch it all the way out because now it's not the same pattern, it's way too big. So I wish there were more patterns that are just different sizes of the same patterns, so I wouldn't have to do this. And I guess you can do that, just repeating it a bunch of times. But it kind of bothers me that it of course doesn't match up perfectly. I'm just doing my human best. And there's also the issue of, what if I want this to be on the other side of my gun? Well, there's no one button to mirror your design to the other side of the gun. That would be nice. And there's no way to merge the layers into one layer and copy that. There's no way to group the layers and copy them all at the same time. You would have to copy them one at a time. But I guess now I'm just asking for more and more features until we basically end up with Photoshop. And I get that we shouldn't have Photoshop. Part of the creativity aspect of this thing is that people make amazing stuff within the limitations of the creator, so I don't want Photoshop. But I guess I'll mention one more thing I wish was in here, and that is the ability to look freely around the gun. It's an animation right now, how it blurs to the top and the right and then the left and all that, but I wish I could, you know, click down the R3 here and be able to freely pan around the gun, because it's really annoying if you're trying to connect a texture, like these hexagons for example. If I try to get it to overlap properly on the top layer, it's never really going to work unless I keep loading up the game and seeing that it doesn't quite look right and going back to the paint shop and trying again. I ran into this problem while trying to make my red line thing. I wanted one of the lines to continue onto the top of the gun, but lining it up was impossible. I kept flipping back and forth and trying to see if it lined up, but without the ability to view it on like a 45-degree angle and gain some 3D perspective, you can't do it. And I also wish you could zoom in and zoom out. When designing, there are sometimes, like on the top of the HVK here, where that square logo at the bottom is covering up part of the gun that I want to see, and I feel like I don't even know if I'm covering the entire weapon with this color right now, so I just have to make it extra large to make sure. And with some materials, you don't really want to make it larger than you have to. And zooming in would be great for precision placement, because we're dealing with joysticks here, and placing a shape like this little triangle to perfectly line up with that rectangle is usually a lot of like, tap, oh, too far. Tap again. Oh, just a bit too far the other way. And with the pixel density, even if you're playing at 1080p, it's hard to know if it actually lines up perfectly. So zooming in to place something more carefully and also to make sure that it's straight would be much appreciated. That's all I will say for the things I wish were improved. Finally, on a funny and annoying note, the profanity filter is awful. It's always been kind of a thing where you try to name your custom class Assault or something, but you can't, presumably because it has ass in it. But this filter is crazy. I will mention right away that from what I understand, the devs or Treyarch can't do anything about it. There's something to do with the console manufacturer requirements. Anyway, you can't name a paint job SMG, for example. Yeah. Well, what if I make a cool green code-themed weapon, and I want to name it Matrix? No, that's profane. Okay, well, Neo. That's profane. Okay, I'll make a gun with stars on it and call it Stars. Nope. Well, goddamn, fine, I'll make a red gun and call it Blood. No, that's too profane for this game that has people exploding into tiny bloody pieces when you hit them with an explosive bow, but fine, let's call it Red. What the fuckity fuck is profane about red? They teach you what red is in fucking kindergarten, and people in this game yell, "Catch this motherfucker," when they throw grenades, but I can't type red apparently. Okay, let's make a white gun and call it White. Oh, those are racist colors, you might say. No, they're not fucking racist. They're colors. They have no negative connotation. Well, how about pink? That's not a race. Oh, I misspelled pink and wrote oink, but apparently oink is profane too. I can't make a pig-themed gun, apparently. Unless oink is a slur I don't know about, but then again, what isn't? Kindergarten was really a profane place, teaching you about colors and animal noises and giving you gold stars. Oh my god, so profane. And here we go, confirmed, pink is banned too. I was even doing something for this video where I just wanted to make a basic red camo on every gun to show everyone the available area for every weapon, so that people could maybe start to plan a couple of their designs over the next few months. And I tried to name it Area, because why not? But Area is banned too. Why? After a couple failed tries, I finally found that the word test would work. This is truly ridiculous. I just had to rant about it, partially because it's really funny. I don't really expect anything to change about this, and it isn't the biggest deal. Nobody sees what you name your weapons, but it can be frustrating. Oh well. I think I've talked for long enough about the paint shop, just throwing around some ideas. I'm sure you guys have some paint shop suggestions too, and maybe you disagree with some of mine. I really look forward to seeing what people paint up though, with more than just 5 days, and also more motivation since it won't be cleared after 5 days. It's gonna be really cool. Good job, Treyarch, you get a gold star. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, that was rude. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.